5:30 p.m. We'll call the Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022 Public Works Committee meeting to order. Adam, if you could please take the roll call.
Here.
Here.
Here. All right, there was an agenda that was sent out to everybody. We would need a motion to approve that agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor to approve the agenda for this evening. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We will go with this agenda. Public communications and comment? See no one in the audience? All right, our next item, we need to approve the meeting minutes of January 13th, 2022 that were submitted in your packet this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the January 13, 2022 meeting minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We have 3 discussion items for this evening. The first being the city facility master planning proposal review. Adam, I assume you're going to lead us down this path, correct?
If you want to be led, yes, I can do that, I guess. Mike and I can tag team this. So after last meeting, we issued the request for proposals for master planning services for facilities within the city, primarily focusing on City Hall and the Public Works Garage. We had received 5 total proposals for that effort. So there was one from MSA, Ayers, Dimension 4 Architects, FGMA, and then SEH. It's a lot of acronyms and syllables, but basically, as a staff level, myself, Finance Director, Assistant City Administrator Tony, and Public Works Director Ehrenberg, we reviewed those proposals, and instead of coming to you with 5 proposals to review and look at, we weeded them down to 2 finalists, SEH and FGMA. The reason the other 3 were not selected was different, mostly price, I would say. They were higher priced than this, as well as these 2 seem to have hit the best criteria within the price point we were looking at. So the other 3, although all those were very qualified and well done, they didn't rise to the top, to the finalist level to fit everything we wanted to do within our budget, okay? So we have 2 proposals that we shared with you to complete this work. One from FGMA and the other from SEH. You know, most people just turn and look at the price right away, but frankly, they're both very similar in price. So they're around $25,000 to complete this work. You may ask, well, what is the priority within this work? The priority will be, if recommended to the council and approved, the priority will be to begin the planning processes for a new public works garage, as well as reviewing this building and creating a capital plan and a general, you know, scope of what to do over a period of time as this facility continues to age to meet the needs of all the departments that are here, that are leaving, so on and so forth. So the goal, frankly, just looking at outcome of all this, the Public Works Garage is the priority. It was built in 1957 and is done. It is end of life, and just talking to Mike, that is number 1 priority. Number 2 would then be this facility. In terms of overall goals and timelines that would come from this, this planning effort, but based on the city's financial situation and with TIF districts closing, so on and so forth, this is the beginning of the effort really for that project to take off in the next 3 to 5 years-ish to hopefully be completed, because that building in particular is pretty rough. And then the rest of it will just sort of come in line here. We had just talked at the council level about, you know, things like EMS and where they end up. So that will be addressed in here. You know, there'll be a capital improvement plan kind of from this to address, you know, do we put a roof on this? You know, when does it have to be done? So on and so forth. We just spent $110,000 on controls here. You know, where do we build off of that in the future? So overall, it's sort of a comprehensive look at both of these facilities, planning for the future, and we did have $25,000 in the budget for planning, so this would go toward that. There is a second piece to this, parks planning. Those are being reviewed by Parks and Rec. That budget will be a little less likely than $25,000, and there are funds in the budget to do that too. So we hope to get this kind of all done in the next year or so. But it's here tonight to discuss, to see if there's a recommendation, if you want to move forward with it. But that's kind of it all in a nutshell. Mike?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Adam. Like we talked about is, you know, what needs to be addressed, when does it need to be addressed? So specifically, we did spend some money on this building this year. I think with the plan, it'll also direct us to what we want to stick into the building or what we don't want to stick into this particular building. And that'll really help, you know, if we have a decent plan down the road, you know, we might be able to accomplish some things that in the near future in here possibly. I could see the boilers being needed here in the next 5 years. So I think it'll give us good guidance on where we want to go in the future with this building and the Public Works building.
Thank you. Discussion.
All right, I do have a question for Mike on this. There's a phasing plan here. I'm looking right now at SEH, and it's talking about renovation, construction. Are they going to be, part of the thing of them coming in is to basically inspect the buildings and see what kind of lifespan we have on the roof and things of that nature, right?
I think that'll all be in there. Yeah, they're going to look at that with their technical people, is what I remember.
Okay.
So what you're seeing in the picture on the left there is just the cold storage unit. We all feel that that's acceptable the way it is. But the main Public Works building is in significant issues, and it's outlived its life, or lived a good life, I should say, maybe. And it's crowded. The equipment keeps getting bigger as we move on for what we need to do. So, you know, I think they'll look at everything. They'll look at the site. Is there space? What meets our needs? Are we combining buildings together? It'll be a different view, different set of eyes than us.
Yeah. So what's all wrong with the garage? You say it's built in 57. I was built in 57 and I'm an excellent.
Yes,
Just so we're clear on this.
I'm not going to argue with you on that. But to argue that point, you were built in 57 and you are now retired, right?
Yes, I am.
So maybe it's time to retire the building.
I've actually been in the building and it's pretty rough. It is rough.
I think it doesn't fit the needs that we currently have. It is rough.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't set a good precedence for our employees. Also,
It's not even worth keeping it for anything.
I I would let the professionals decide that.
Yeah.
You know, I really would. I think there's a lot of improvements that would need to be made on that building to get it to where it needs to be. We have outgrown it
Yeah.
also.
And I'll just add, I think through this process, I think we started it saying, well, let's review that building and see if we can, you know,
Yep.
renovate, do something. And as soon as the first 2 or 3 came through, it became very apparent that is end of life, and there's really no point in studying anything other than what the next garage should be from a size perspective, from a layout perspective, what's included in it, and getting that kind of budget set. Just for example, Mike and his team have to basically play Tetris in the building to
Yep.
get equipment in.
Seen that in action.
Plow trucks, so on and so forth. So, you know, we're going to begin, the idea here is to study that, our current equipment needs, you know, what needs to be stored where, and then build a building accordingly versus, you know, so setting that groundwork to then get to the point where plans and specs are designed and it's bid out in the next couple of years. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
This is not an uncommon theme throughout the state. The people that I have been in here, whether it's an engineering firm or whatever, they are seeing a lot of these buildings getting turned over now and new buildings built. So things do tend to get to the end of life. Yeah.
If I can ask a couple things, how deep a dive do you go into on references on whoever you might select, not only on the metric and the data gathering, but on the end result of a city that may have used one or the other, and not only did they take their report and write on it, but then they built a new building and it worked, and it made sense what they had found, that it ended up with a good resulting newer or brand new building.
So I could say SEH is a company that we've worked with within our water department and our wastewater department for many, many years. So we are comfortable, we're clients, we know the relationship very much. They're capable of doing this work. Their examples in this are examples that they've done. And I'm confident that the existing relationship sort of says, yes, this is a qualified firm. FGMA is not somebody who we have worked with before. I did reach out to a particular client of theirs who is a colleague of mine from the village of Cottage Grove, Matt Geezy. He's their village administrator. I will trust Matt and I asked him about them as a company and what they did, and he said they did a great job for them in doing a facility needs assessment and study, and he would recommend working with them. You can see kind of the examples of the work in these. SEH has a couple really good examples of projects that they did. This one in particular in Adams County, which, you know, we would love to have something like that to wash trucks and things like that. So they get it. And then, you know, similarly FGMA had projects listed here too that are similar in scope, and, you know, so we'd be comfortable with either.
Sure.
So.
Good answer. And the other thing I was just curious about was, as you as a council talk about the broader picture, all the needs there are, this, roads, keeping up with them, clean water now, wastewater treatment, got to keep up with all that. Do you know that this can be continued onward? If you want to do it, it will get done? Or are any of those other 4 or other things instantly going to derail this? And you go, it was nice that we did this, but wastewater's next, and clean water's behind it, and city streets are next, and whatever.
So
Go ahead.
I think, Adam and I touched on this, and you can elaborate on the wastewater side. We just went through this with the infrastructure legislation that's coming forward, and discussing the process that just came out and what we're going to do to approach that and get money for the city. And I think, and I hope I say this correctly, is we're going to put in for a lot of money in this road stuff. While we have to cover some of the engineering costs throughout the time, we're going to take that and we're going to put in for a significant amount. And I don't remember what we talked about for a number, Adam. Was it
We'll get there. We got
at some point? But I don't think that that's going to be a problem as long as some of that stuff's improved. From a sanitary and water, I'm not sure, Adam.
So I can comment on this too in terms of overall planning and you know, we don't want to plan just to have it sit on the shelf and I understand that. But we have to start walking and chewing gum at the same time. We have to separate these issues out and find resources to fund them in the different pools, okay? So water and wastewater, although they are a part of the piece, they are a separate piece, funded by utility rates, funded by CDBG, funded by Clean Water Fund, funded by multiple programs that we can prioritize projects and get that stuff done and capitalize. We have a similar plan like this for our water department. With that plan, we can begin prioritizing those projects, finding the funding, getting them done. The road situation, similar. You know, I think we could do a similar study on roads and prioritize them. But there's bipartisan infrastructure legislation dollars coming out that we will be applying for. And you know, this particular portion of it may have an effect on some of those things because this is all general fund type stuff, okay? At the same time, what I will say in terms of planning on both ends, the parks and this, we have nothing right now. We haven't done the work to get to a point to have a vision or a plan. So when opportunities arise, like the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, like the ARPA dollars, grants, there's more money coming from the federal government right now than we have ever seen, okay? And instead of trying to identify a project that fits the funding, we need to get our list of projects and then find the funding once it comes down from the federal government. And this is a 5-6 year window that this is all happening. So, and frankly, from a capital planning standpoint and a financial hit standpoint of a magnitude of a city garage, we are coming up on retiring debt and also opening up TIF districts, closing them out so that, you know, so it could hit at the right time for us to do a big project. So, you know, that's the long and short of it. It's going to take a continued effort by the staff and the council to come up with prioritize, make sure things remain affordable. But we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. We just have to, because if we get tunnel vision, it doesn't matter because we're still going to have, you know, the issues on the side that crop up. So, because this is coming one way or the other, both of these. So,
Right. Thank you.
sorry, long answer. That's what I do.
So we already have a relationship with SEHI?
We have a relationship with SEH, correct?
Okay. In looking at the FGMA proposal, the lump professional sum was 24,500. They recommended adding another 1,500 for reimbursable expenses. Mm-hmm. It looks like those were included in the SEH proposal.
Correct.
In my mind, if we already have a relationship, we worked with them before, and again, the costs are within $1,000 of each other. It would make sense to go with the people we already have worked with, in my mind.
I take it you guys were very happy with SEH and what they did for the wastewater?
Yeah, and yeah, so they have They have the experience doing this. They came and presented that report. So this would be a very similar type situation. So they've done it with us before, so, yeah.
I would so move the SEH proposal.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to move the SEH proposal forward, and I believe we need to recommend this to the council for approval?
Yeah.
Is that correct,
That
Adam?
would be, yep, yep.
And is that part of your motion, Jeff?
Yes, it is, exactly what I said.
And your second?
That is, yep.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor to move the SEH proposal forward to council for approval. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We will discuss it again at the council level on March 8th, correct?
Yes, it'll be on the agenda.
All right. The next discussion item, we have an urban forestry grant service agreement for consideration.
Yes, we do. So the city received a DNR urban forestry grant. This is not the catastrophic one. This is a actual grant to do inventory operations plan and EAB management project. The total grant award is $19,922.50 for just shy of a $40,000 project to inventory our entire urban forest and create a management plan for our urban forest. And then there's a component to the side of that would plant trees and help remove trees that we will also do. So the main component of that grant totaling the 20, where's the total? I have it somewhere. $24,245, I believe. Yeah, there's a little typo there. Is with Blue Stem Forestry Consulting. Kelly Tuttle is the owner and operator of that agency. $24,245, sorry. They have put together this scope to, and this fits within the grant budget, to do this work. So we're just looking for a recommendation to move this on to the council as well for approval. You can kind of read what she does. I've worked with Kelly on multiple projects across the state. She is very, very good at what she does. Very, very affordable. And at the end of the day, what are we getting from all this? Every street tree, every park tree will be inventoried under the criteria set. She will walk this town and ping everyone, recording everything about it, DBH, species, condition. She will identify planting sites in the parks and on boulevards. And then that data will be in GPS located form to go to our GIS system to have a urban forestry layer so we can look at all of the trees we manage. The ones that are in bad condition will be turned red. The ones that are in good condition will be green. We can then use that as well as the management plan that they put forward to begin the process of actually strategically managing our urban forest. So when we have a storm, we have an inventory, we know where things are, we can manipulate the data when a tree goes down, we can understand if it's a healthy tree, it has EAB, on and on and on. So right now there is no inventory.
There's no accurate inventory?
And there is no real plan within our forestry operations to handle EAB or any other real issues with the urban forest. Mike and his team have done a great job dealing with everything over the last year when it comes to trees. They continue to take down, to this day, numerous ash trees.
Yep, it's a significant issue in the city, and we need to get those down, and then we need to address the replanting of appropriate trees into those areas.
So, but at this point, we don't even know what percentage of our our urban forest is ash. We don't have, you know, so we don't even, we're not even grappling with the full scale of the problem. So this puts us on a very good path, and the DNR grant will cover 50% of it, so.
Did the storm cull a lot of the bad trees and take them out, or did it create new ones anyway?
It did take some trees out with cracking. In fact, today we just found one that has a crack in it, and we're going to have to take that down, obviously for safety purposes. So that's been added to the list. But the storm kind of did a pruning of the city. But with that comes the loss of trees and our canopy within the city here. So we need to get those canopies back started. And we don't want to plant everything obviously at once. So it'll be a process over some years.
Any further discussion?
I got a question as far as, so basically they're gonna pay 19.9, so it's gonna cost us $24,245 in order to have our inventory trees and put it in a GPS, right?
The overall grant that was awarded was for a project totaling $39,845. So $19,922.50 will come from the state of Wisconsin if we spend that amount.
Okay.
So of this, you know, of this portion of it, which frankly, this is the piece that we are missing most. You know, the state will cover half of it. The remaining balance of the remaining $15,000 or so over the next year, we will, which is $7,500 for us, we will plant trees and remove trees over this year, and see where we get with things. Again, we did budget for this project, knowing that we had the grant award last year. So, so it's a lot, but the idea then is to incorporate this plan into our operations and have it be a guide for us to prioritize and better plan and prepare for the next invasive species that kills half of our trees, or windstorm that takes down a quarter of our trees.
So she's not only inventory, but she's gonna make recommendations as far as what trees to plant and where?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I worked with her in my previous community, and she went through, inventoried every tree, walked the town. You got a whole list. It was incorporated into our GIS system. So then it was a layer you could turn on. You could see every tree. And then from there, it's on us. So if Mike has his crew go out and take down 7 trees in a day, they go into the GIS system and delete those trees from the system. So then they're gone. If they go plant trees, you can go in and, but getting that data up front takes some time. And she literally walks every street and goes in every park and measures and does this. And then the plan from there will be a sort of like a capital improvement plan for trees and a management plan for EAB. So, you know, at this point, our EAB treatment or plan will not include treatment because it's already here and the trees are already dying. So it will be, you need to start spending more money. We're recommending spending more money on taking down trees. So there will be follow-up that we need to do every year, but at least we have a good, you know, grapple on where we're at, you know. So.
And this will take us where we need to be.
Just on EAB, I will say, we don't even know how many EAB trees are owned by the city or managed by the city.
I have a pretty good idea kind of on that.
Yeah.
I have a laundry list that I reassessed after the storm on the EAB. That doesn't mean I didn't miss a few.
Right.
But we are taking those down. They are marked and the crews are out there doing that while we don't have no snow. But we have not assessed the parks for EAB. I know it's in the parks And right now, we're just touching the basically terrace area.
Okay.
It'll also, with the expert doing it, it'll identify how well the other trees are. You know, when does this one need to be taken down? Is it cracked? Is it, you know, it's an expert. I can see the crack, obviously, if it opens up, but that'll also give us some direction over the course of the years on, you know, I guess the life of that tree, when it needs to be retired.
Plan accordingly.
Yep.
And the ultimate thing too is they'll inventory the trees, we'll get like a breakdown of every species. So the likelihood is we'll have like, you know, say it's 6,000 trees we own. It could be that high. You know, 20% are ash, 20% are maple, you know, it'll break that down. So as we then prioritize planting in the future, we can make decisions to diversify our urban forests so we do not run into a situation again like EAB where we're planting a single species of tree at a period of time and everything is wiped out. So there's just so many things that we use this stuff for, planning wise and managing the forest, so.
So would this just be trees on city property? Okay,
Yep.
so if it's, like, if it's on the terrace, because, I mean, my block of Newbury now has like none left on. Used to have a ton, but like, anything that's on, even if it's a huge tree, it's still,
Anything that's in the terrace on city
Okay.
property, whether it's parks or
Okay.
whatever the city property owns.
Okay.
It,
That
Yeah,
include the cemetery?
I don't know if we
I don't think
included
it, I
that.
don't think it includes the cemetery.
In there, but I don't think we did.
But we didn't. But we can do that in a future year.
Good question.
It's
think
not
it
that
sounds
heavy a
right.
lift considering what,
There's a lot in there that
all the other stuff.
it needs attention.
On that type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where could we find out what it would cost to add the cemetery to the, we're gonna do it and she's here.
I mean, I can ask her, but it's a lot.
That's a lot more trees?
It, in terms of what we're grappling with and the overall priority, you know, the cemetery is less of a priority with trees because of, you know, no effect, but they're falling, you know, in the cemetery versus in a park or on somebody's car or on somebody's house. So, you know, in terms of managing this stuff,
from a safety
from
standpoint.
a safety and hazard standpoint, the trees and the boulevards are a priority over the cemetery.
Any further discussion?
Well, I will make a motion to take to the council to approve the urban forestry grant service agreement.
I will second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This will also, I'm assuming, appear on the March 8th
You bet.
council agenda. All right, very good. Our last item for discussion this evening, pickup fee on 350-gallon dumpsters. Mike?
So, this came to us, just kind of the other day with, you know, our fee schedule. And, it pretty well explains it out in here, a little schematic. Our current fee is, $15 for return service, to dump that 350-gallon. On average, the containers can hold up to 1,000 pounds. That's about what the truck can lift, somewhere in 1,000 to 1,200. So we do pay $48 a ton from GFL to have that waste removed. So for us to empty a full 350, it could potentially cost $24, depending on the weight. Currently, we would lose at that about $9 on every 350. We currently have 3 businesses that do get a second pickup during the week. So it doesn't affect a lot of people, but it does affect some. So we potentially could lose $17 a week, $108 a month, $1,200 and something a year for that. So we currently are charging $15 for a return pickup on a 95-gallon container. So if you look at that, we'd like to get those kind of evened out. $15 for a 95. What should a return pickup be for a 350? So we were asking to increase that to $30 if it makes sense. As we know, things continue to go up and we need to still cover that cost. So that's what we were asking, if there was any thoughts of doing that.
This affects 3 businesses?
It does.
And what is it, if this was approved by the council, would there be a, like, would it start in April
It
or?
would start on the next month, I would suspect, or unless you tell me you guys want something different. But notices would go out.
We would notice them?
We would notice them to make sure that they know the effect is going in place, you know, and give them time to review that. That's, would be something we typically would do.
Thank you.
You said you charge $15 for a 95 gallon,
Yes,
and you charge $15 for a 350 gallon?
yes.
What are the regular trash cans? How big are they?
Those are 95 gallons.
Those are 95?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a 95 gallon,
Yes.
like we have at the house?
Yes.
Okay, so they're just,
So if you put, how many of those in a 350?
Right.
4 or 5?
yeah. So the 3 businesses now, I mean, do they know we're, so they have, do they each have one?
They each have one, yeah. So they're
Okay.
asking for a return fee. So the reason, so right now, if you want another container, another 350 on top of the one you have,
Yeah.
we would charge $140 for pickup for basically 4 weeks, okay? So by going to the 30, that's 120,
Okay,
because we're not supplying the container, so they're still saving money by not getting another container.
okay,
So we kind of looked at it that way, so we didn't have to provide another container, because we're using that other container,
okay. You're using the 350 gallon one?
the one they currently have.
Yep.
Yep.
And if they had another container, if they took another container, you'd end up dumping them both twice anyway, wouldn't you?
No, we would, if they took another container, they would get 1 pickup a week,
Oh, okay.
okay? So they're getting 1 pickup for the $15, which is costing basically $60 a month compared to if you took another container of $140.
Any other questions, comments, discussion?
So I do have one more. The 350 gallon, that you just do it every week, it's like, or do they call you to tell you to come get it?
No, we pick up every week.
Okay,
Whether you got your general pickup, okay, we pick up all commercial garbage that has a container, 350, okay? If they want another return service, they contact us, and we will determine what day works best for them. So some people that get picked up on Monday, they might want us to come back Friday,
Okay.
You know, because they accumulate enough during the week.
So it's an as-needed?
The what's that?
It's an as-needed second pickup, or is it like every week?
There can be, I don't know if we do it as needed.
Okay.
I think our as needed is we have a rental, we don't have an as needed.
Okay.
we
So
ha-
like every week, they're getting, these three businesses are, regardless of how much trash they end up accumulating?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, and obviously they wouldn't get it if there wasn't a need for it.
Right.
So you're looking, basically, we're gonna pick up once a week, and instead of 15, they're gonna pay 30 for
Correct.
350 gallons.
Correct.
And if they get called back now, is it another 15?
If we return
Yeah,
on top of the extra pickup,
yeah.
I don't think we've had that scenario.
So no one's ever asked you to go do it again?
No.
Okay, okay.
Not that I know of. I don't
Okay,
believe
so
so.
it's just a weekly pickup.
It's a weekly pickup.
It's not unreasonable to charge double for 4 times the container.
Not really, no.
And if they don't need it, they can go back down to the 95 and charge, and then you'll charge 15.
That's correct.
All right.
Is that your motion?
And again, this would go to council for
Does it?
approval?
Yeah, if that's what it, is that required? I think so.
I don't know. It could, I don't remember what we did on these.
Past experience is if it's an adjustment to the current fee schedule, it would need to be approved by council.
Okay.
So we can,
Lud could weigh in on it.
But then his fee schedule would change.
Huh?
No, nothing.
We may have to put it as a consent item or,
That could be.
So I would make a motion to approve this to move to council in
Second.
whatever capacity it needs to be moved.
What's that,
In
Pete?
whatever capacity it needs to be moved to council.
Okay.
Yeah,
And seconded.
cover my bases.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Project updates, staff reports, Mike, Adam?
I have nothing.
I do. So I think I got a couple things that pertain to actually what we discussed. One is the garbage pickup. So we have implemented what is now known as BART. And we are working through some issues that the manufacturer had on the truck. We think we've resolved all those. So that is going well. So what we've done with that particular truck is we've gone from 2 loads a day driving to Amro to 1 load a day. So that's a cost savings throughout the year, and as you can imagine, gas prices are not, or fuel prices are not getting any cheaper. So I'm estimating there will be a significant savings throughout the year for that. We are working through some other things that I think need to be improved into our garbage pickup, from standardizing route to getting more efficient into that area. Without going into a lot of details, the staff will be working on some of those things that we have going on. We want standard routes. And the reason we want standard routes is if Joe drives it one day and Pete drives it another, we want to be able to have that standardized so that our customers have a sense of about their service coming around the same time. Okay, if one drives it different than the other, it does cause some issues. So we are collecting some other data for future things on that also. Trees in the terrace, Again, we've taken down a significant amount already through this year. You see the guys out there working at them. I would say we've probably taken down somewheres of over 50 trees. I just put another list out. There's probably another 30 on it. So these trees, the majority of them are ash trees. And so they are dying. But if you see a red dot on the base of the tree, that means I've identified it for removal. Okay? And as long as we're talking about trees and leaves, last year we implemented a new leaf vacuum system, somewhat the same old system, but we cantilevered it different onto the truck. And that particular one, the guys did an amazing job getting that cantilevered over, reduced our downtime, and we got a lot more throughput through the vacuum, if you will. The vacuum does about 1,650 CFM. It sucks up really good. The issue that we see is in Zone 2, and Zone 2 is identified into the Woodside area and over here by Park Street. Those are significant. They have a lot of canopy in that area, and we really struggled into that area. So in the budget, I put in $22,000 to upgrade, if you will, that second one. What we found is that motor is very weak. On that one doesn't pull a lot of CFM, and that's not good because it's in our biggest leaf area. We did purchase a used leaf vacuum pull behind off of Wisconsin Surplus for about $11,000. The guys are working on taking the motor out of it, and we got it all set up. We should increase our CFM. It's a diesel instead of a gas, and that'll help us in our output in picking leaves up into Zone 2. We don't anticipate the third truck of needing that extensive work because that one actually works pretty good. So more horsepower, more vacuum, and it'll be cantilevered onto one of the new trucks. It'll be all hooked up. So good job to the crew to basically they took it and ran with all this stuff, and they're making the improvements to make this stuff happen. So I'm hoping to see our service level be good throughout the city.
I know we had a noticeable difference in the efficiency and number of times that we saw the truck that we needed it, at least down by us, and I heard positive feedback as well, so. We,
some of the things that we've implemented early on are starting to take effect. We're starting to get more in the groove. The guys are doing a great job. Every year's different, Paige. If we get 10 inches of snow on top of the leaves, we're gonna struggle.
Yep.
These were more consistent coming down, and that helps out a lot. But getting our equipment updated, it will make a difference in the long run. But we did make at least 7 rounds.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
We love watching the elephant truck, so.
I was going to say the same thing. Where I am on May Party, it was a lot quicker. You just weren't laying around as much.
Yep, and May Party had our first go-around with the new cantilever system and that has a lot of CFM on it. So we're hoping, and that truck actually would whip right through here, and then he'd go into Zone 2 and help out there. We actually had to have 3 trucks into that area to get through that. So,
is there a downside as well? If you make the vacuum more powerful, you might more likely pick something up that will wreck the machine? Not wreck it, but maybe.
We have had rocks, wood, all kinds of stuff go through that, and that can happen. It'll wreck the impeller on it, and then we'll have to replace that impeller. It doesn't really wreck the motor or anything like that, but it can take the propeller out, yes. They do make some that are CFM up in the 24,000 range. Those are just bigger fans, but we decided not to go that route at this time. That's all I have, unless you guys had some questions.
Anything else for Mike or Adam?
No, just a huge shout out to his guys for doing that project, because
Yeah.
when I first talked to them and they brought me down to talk about it, they had quotes for that motor for around anywhere from $38,000 to $50,000. And just by their due diligence and working through and finding a unit on surplus site that was only 4 years, 5 years old from a
It had
community,
300 hours on it.
we for $11,000, and frankly, we can either use the trailer or
I don't know what we're gonna do.
do. But it was a huge shout out to those guys for scouting that out and retrofitting equipment to save tens of thousands of dollars.
All right.
They're an awfully friendly crew too. They're very good at waving. That's just one of those, it's a little thing, but it's a big thing, so.
As always, if you have suggestions for agenda items for the next meeting, please feel free to let Mike know, let Adam know. The next meeting date, generally, Miss Karen does her magic and we'll set it. This will be my last meeting on this committee. I have enjoyed my time with all of you. Mike, you and your crew do a fantastic job in my mind. Please pass that along to him. I plan to do that in person. But thank you to everyone who has served on this committee, and certainly wish all of you the best moving forward. So,
And thank you.
Thank you.
if there's anything else,
How many years?
too long.
Adam, can we have one more meeting just to give them a
Quick one, yeah.
farewell?
Yeah.
If not, we need one last motion.
Motion to
Actually did it
adjourn.
with like 17
I'll
items
second.
too, and
A motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, we are adjourned at 6:22.
Under an